The bar was loud that night, the kind of place where cigarette smoke curled against dim lights. Laughter mixed with curses, and the clink of glasses drowned out softer voices. It was a place of shadows and noise, where tough men wore leather and tattoos like armor. Among them was Emily, a quiet waitress who carried herself with a humility and grace that no one seemed to notice. Dressed simply, her steps were quick and efficient. Yet, beneath her calm face and tired smile, there was a storm she carried in silence, one she had never spoken of. That night, when a group of bikers rolled in, the atmosphere shifted. They laughed too loud, shoved too hard, and demanded attention like predators. Emily tried to avoid their eyes, but fate has a way of cornering the quiet ones. One of them, tall and broad with a cruel smirk, grew restless. He taunted her, insulted her, trying to shake her composure. When she refused to flinch, his pride boiled over. In front of the entire bar, he grabbed her shirt and ripped it open with a sneer. Gasps filled the room. Laughter followed. But then, something happened. What the crowd expected to see was weakness and shame. What they saw instead froze them in their seats. Etched across her chest, bold and unshaken, was a tattoo of the United States Marine Corps emblem. It wasn't just ink, it was a story of sacrifice, of battles fought, of courage that ran deeper than any scar. The room went silent. Even the biker who had ripped her shirt faltered, his hand trembling, his cruel grin fading. For in that moment, they all realized Emily wasn't just a waitress. She was a Marine. Emily stood there, her breath steady, her eyes unblinking. The tattoo wasn't something she flaunted. It was a part of her, a memory burned into her skin for reasons far greater than pride. She had enlisted when she was young, driven not by glory, but by a desperate need to escape the cycle of poverty and despair she was born into. The Marines had forged her spirit in fire. She'd seen things most of the men in that bar could never comprehend. Friends lost in combat, nights filled with fear, days where survival was the only prayer. When she returned home, she carried the weight of it all quietly, working small jobs, blending in, hoping no one would ever ask about the tattoo that held more pain than pride. But that night, the truth was laid bare. As silence spread across the room, the weight of her hidden life pressed down on every man watching. The biker who tore her shirt stepped back, shaken, his false bravado crumbling under the weight of her unspoken story. He had expected humiliation, but what he uncovered was honor, and he knew instantly he wasn't worthy to stand in her shadow. The crowd behind him shifted uncomfortably, some lowering their eyes, ashamed for having laughed. But Emily didn't gloat. She didn't speak. She simply straightened her torn shirt, eyes forward, and went back to her work as if nothing had happened. That quiet dignity was louder than any words she could have said. It was then that the regulars in the bar began to see her differently. She was no longer just the quiet woman who poured drinks. She was a warrior who carried scars deeper than leather and chains, a fighter who deserved respect, not pity. As the days passed, whispers of the story spread. Customers who once ignored her now greeted her with gratitude. Strangers thanked her for her service. What no one knew, however, was the private battle Emily was still fighting. Her military past had left her with wounds no one could see, restless nights, haunting memories, and a loneliness that settled deep in her bones. The bar job was more than a paycheck. It was her way of staying busy, of keeping her mind from wandering into darker places. Yet, even in her quiet suffering, she found ways to show kindness, covering shifts for younger workers, and slipping extra food to the hungry. Her own pain never stopped her from easing the pain of others. The biker never returned to that bar. Perhaps shame kept him away. But those who witnessed that moment never forgot it. In that single act, Emily reminded them all that true strength isn't loud or violent. It's quiet, steady, and unyielding. It's the kind of strength that doesn't need to be proven, only revealed. Sometimes, the strongest people are not the ones who shout the loudest, but the ones who carry their battles in silence and still choose to stand tall. Emily's story reminds us that behind every quiet face is a history we may never fully understand. The world is quick to judge, quick to laugh, and quick to dismiss those who appear ordinary. But in reality, many of the most extraordinary souls walk among us unnoticed, wearing their strength not as a weapon, but as a shield for others. That night was more than a confrontation. It was a mirror held up to society. It showed how easily we overlook the courage of those who serve, how often we forget the sacrifices carried silently by men and women who have worn a uniform. Emily did not seek validation. All she ever wanted was to live quietly and find a little peace in a noisy world. Yet, when pushed into the spotlight, She revealed the kind of strength that could silence cruelty and awaken respect. Her story is not just about one night in a bar. It's about the hidden heroes who surround us every day, the single parents working double shifts, the veterans carrying invisible scars, the ordinary people who fight silent battles with extraordinary courage. They may never ask for acknowledgement, but they deserve it all the same. So the next time you meet someone who seems quiet or ordinary, remember Emily. Remember that beneath the surface, there may be a story of strength that could move the whole world. If this story touched your heart, please show your support by liking this video and sharing it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories like this one. Before you go, drop a comment below and tell us what part of Emily's story moved you the most. Your words might just inspire someone else. Thank you for watching.